I want to share my story with you to let you know that this is something that's possible. And for those thousands or millions of people that have already experienced something like this, I can be another validation for you. I I was lucky enough to experience something very special. I had a moment of enlightenment, a moment of actual direct contact with God. It happened in a time in my life where I was experiencing a personal tragedy, and I was driving down the road and I felt so much pain in my heart. My heart was breaking, and I was angry, and I felt like I had done everything right already. I felt like I followed all the guidance that I got from God. I felt like I had made the right choices, but still the situation was heartbreaking. And so I'm driving along and I'm just really angry with God, and finally I decided to ask myself, what would Mother Teresa do in this situation? And it came to me immediately, Mother Teresa would love anyway. And then I asked, what would Jesus do in this situation? And it came to me immediately, Jesus would forgive his enemies. People that hurt me, I could forgive them. And then I asked, what would Muhammad do? And it came to me immediately, Muhammad would submit. And I understood it in a way that I never understood it before. I understood that that meant to turn my life over to God, to humbly ask God to help me take this pain from me. And I did. And I imagined my heart going out to God. And in that moment, a beam of pure white came out of the sky and came down and touched me on my shoulder. I was so filled with love. It's impossible to describe how much love there was in that moment. All the love of the world. It filled my whole entire body. Every cell of my body was completely infused with this love. It was the love of a parent for their precious child. And in the same moment, I recognized that I always knew this, that this truth was always there for me. And I was remembering, and not just learning something new, I was remembering I am part of this love. I am God, and God is me. It doesn't really convey the truth to say the words. It doesn't come close to. Anyway, as this beam touched me, suddenly I was viewing this scene of the road as I was driving down from 3 different places. I was seeing it from my body, and I was seeing it from the passenger seat. And from the passenger seat, I could see it with my intellect. I was observing clearly the edges of the beam and thinking, that's not light. And it's diffused at the top, and it comes to a point on my shoulder, and it came through the window, and it touched me and had contact. And so I was just like, not really in that. It wasn't until later that I really could process that information, but I was just taking it all in. And then from the behind, from the back passenger seat, I was just all the love, this emotion. It's an incredible amount of emotion. And then my soul went out of my heart. My soul went up the beam. And as it went up the beam, I felt so connected to all the souls. As I reached the top of the beam, I rippled out in concentric circles. And I became one with every soul on the planet. And then my focus shifted and I became one with all the trees on the planet. And specifically, I could feel that I was in a tree. And I was looking at another tree in the forest, which was me looking back at me. It was so incredible. And then I was all the grass. And I was looking at a blade of grass next to me that was me looking back at me. It was amazing. And then my focus shifted and I was a rock on a mountain. I was the earth. And that really surprised me because I just never imagined that inanimate objects are filled with God consciousness. And then my focus shifted again and I was all of the entire universe. Complete entire universe. So humongous. At the same time. I don't know how, but I could see the smallest, tiniest particle of what the universe is made out of. It was this massive, uniform field of particle, and at the tiniest level, the tiniest particle, smaller than anything that I know that we can record. It was pure white. Pure, and this was sort of a radiant light, and this particle was pure energy. But more than that, this particle that everything in the entire universe is made out of is love. Like a tangible love that is the stuff of God. And it just blew me away. It was awesome. And I went beyond the universe to this pure consciousness. I've heard it called the void, but that doesn't come close to describing what it was. It's not anything you can describe, which is so frustrating because I so want to let you know what it's like. It is pure potential, pure consciousness prior to actualization. It doesn't look like anything. It's outside of time and space. It isn't close to anything you can describe in the physical universe. But it was so amazing, so full of love, so incredible. And whatever pain, woo, that was gone. There was no pain left over. And I realized that, I realized that at the same time all this was happening, I was driving along the road still. The whole thing didn't take more than a second and a half, and there was a sign, a building next to the exit that I was just getting off of that was illuminated. It was a bookstore. And I got it, that God wanted me to go to that bookstore. So I did. And I made that split decision. Oh, okay, this really happened. And I turned the wheel and I went on the exit to go to the bookstore, and I went to the bookstore. And then I was back into myself. totally, completely, not forgetting, but realizing myself as normal. And now here I am in the bookstore, and I'm like, okay, now what?